are off our normal schedule because we are in Arizona. This is the second time we've been in Arizona.
Yes.
Last year we came for an Equip event and doing something with Maria. And then this trip is all about what?
It was all about the Low Carb Collaborative, the Arizona Low Carb Collaborative, held by our friends, Michelle Hall and Coach Jen Winkler. You know what? That's going to bother me that that door is open behind us. Can I get away?
No, we're plugged in. Hold on, I'll go close it. Hold on. Hold on, we've got to get that door closed. Not tangled up, so hold that.
And I want this. Oh, I don't think I think on Instagram, I'm not going to be able to get that pretty cactus photo in the background, but you've got it on yours.
So we're in our Airbnb.
Arizona.
We're in our Airbnb right now
for a few more hours.
Yeah.
Flying in and flying out as we do for a lot of these events, but I know one of these days we need to make it out to Arizona and hang out for some time and actually get to explore.
We did our little walk. We got a good walk in. Did you see how many steps was that? Or how far was that?
It was an hour long.
We were gone for an hour?
Yeah.
What?
I've got 6,200 steps already today.
Wow. Okay.
It was I don't know how many miles. Oh, well, total for the day is 2.64 miles.
That's not bad.
We
got some coffee and
walked
to Starbucks and
at least
walk back.
Yeah.
It's very dark. Yeah, sorry. The lighting here looks pretty good.
Yeah.
It's interesting that it would be dark when they're looking at it.
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we don't have the best. I guess we could open that window.
Or put on that lamp behind us.
Let me try it. Let me see. Thanks for letting me know, Jeff. Let me go check.
Okay. Seems fine on Instagram. Y'all on Instagram, let me know if you can see us okay, if it looks dark to you. Oh, that's very bright. Yeah.
Whew. And I don't know how this up.
There we go. Now we got all the lighting. Jeff says, yes, sir.
Got all the lighting. Hopefully that helps a little bit. Sorry.
So we wanted to start today by shouting out Michelle and Jen for an amazing event yesterday.
It was fantastic.
First Arizona meetup. And it really was a meetup because
it was, yeah.
They had some delicious meat for lunch from it was Papa Bear's.
Is that what it was?
I think it was Papa Bear's barbecue. So we had some yummy barbecue for lunch. It was really beautiful, the energy, the community, the same kind of thing we did with Antithetic, the same energy of good people connecting on shared interests, shared direction, goals,
experiences.
Yes.
And then
the testimonials.
Not just the sharing of all of that stuff, but the fact that it was local. Like it was people who went to high school together or went to the same high school, maybe not together, but we're out there because was it Terry and Toby she was graduating his freshman year. So they were at the same high school at the same time. They may not have known each other, but having the connections of your local community, your local area, you all speak the same language, you know the same landmarks. Like, I went to school here, I used to go hang out there, and I know Bobby, and it's just.
And they were California people. That was California people.
I know, right? Yeah.
So it's like traveling across state lines and then meeting somebody who went to your high school.
Right.
In California.
Right. Exactly.
So that was cool. That was really cool. And then, of course, the talks were really awesome. Temple did a really great talk about cortisol that spoke to my heart. Dr. Nally's talk spoke to my heart.
In general, he did a really good overview of all of this, like what is keto, what are the benefits of keto, all the different medical conditions.
I took a picture of almost every slide he had up. And I didn't know that Dr. Nally, so Doc Muscles, for those who don't know on social media, he wrote a book about menopause.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
So I quickly found it. I have to buy it on Kindle. He has it on Kindle. So that is next up on my list to read. I'm always interested in the menopause. The people in this space doing things related to menopause, so I can learn more and more and more from different perspectives. So I'm really excited about that. Of course, Dr. Lenskis, who was our roommate.
Roomies. Him and his wife Linnell are roomies for the trip.
Always love his presentation. He always talks about stress and sleep, the two forgotten biofeedback markers, which we're going to talk about today. And then the testimonials. Jen and Michelle sharing their stories, but so many of the other folks sharing theirs as well, and their journeys thus far, and that they're not over. It's not done. They didn't work toward a goal and then say that's it. So the people at this event connecting the dots about this being a lifestyle and being committed to the lifestyle, and I'm not done and I'm going to improve, and that's our bread and butter. That's what we love to talk about, and that's what today's talk is going to be all about, is that you can constantly make improvements. So shout out to Penny. She says it was a fantastic day.
We had a bunch of our crew there. I had some former clients there. You had some clients there.
She said so affirming and learned new things too. Yes.
It was really cool. The level, the amount of questions, and then the quality of the questions. Was really good. It was really good. Sometimes you don't get that. Sometimes you get some basic stuff that's like, you can answer that with a Google search, like,
Well, a lot of the time we see like drilling down like towards the doctors, asking about, as if you're having like a meeting with a doctor.
People asking like very specific medical questions about something that's going on with them, looking for a diagnosis.
Right.
Like, there's 8,000 people here.
There were a lot of great questions about the concepts and the context and like that's the kind of stuff.
Looking for clarity when that person says that and this person says that, and then asking them, hey, you're both here. Why don't I ask you?
Oh yeah, they're like, hey, you said this.
What's
Duke
going
it out.
on?
Tell me what's real. Yeah, I love that. I love it. Seeking to understand. Seeking to understand. That speaks to my heart. My heart was like pouring open yesterday. It was beautiful.
Cool. So we're continuing our talk
from last week.
If you didn't watch episode 55, go back and watch episode 55. It's so weird that we actually have that many.
I know.
When we did the podcast, we didn't get past 10.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
that was crazy.
That was because it was so much more labor intensive to edit and prepare. And this we can come on here and do live and it's up there. Yeah.
Okay. And we had someone offer to convert everything to audio.
To audio, yeah.
Which is interesting. I don't know how that'll work, but
yeah.
Okay. We are talking about the practical side of what we talked about last week, which last week we talked about there's so many things that focusing on what's important is really what's going to move you forward, right?
So many things as it relates to progress. How do you assess your progress when you feel like it's too slow?
Right. Trusting the process when you're only seeing one thing is really hard. When you're able to look at a bunch of different things, it's easier to trust the process because you may not see progress in this area, but you can see progress in this area.
And it can keep you going and keep you from getting discouraged when you can recognize and acknowledge all of the things that are improving.
Yeah. And the more areas you have, the easier that's going to be. So we wanted to give you some areas. What are some of the things that you can look at?
Measure what matters.
Measure what matters, right? That's what it's all about. So before we actually do that, though, we want to give you kind of, I guess the word would be a hierarchy or a layer of a way to look at things.
Kind of the three big categories of metrics, for lack of a better word, or measurements.
The first, two levels and then the things, right? So it's the process outcome and then it's the bio versus markers, feedback versus markers, and then we can get into where they all fit in.
Yes.
So, so 3 layers.
Yep.
The first thing we want to make sure that everybody understands is there are 2 big buckets of things when we talk about what are we tracking. There are the things that we need to do, and then there are the results of the things we are doing or not doing. Okay, so 2 things, and we call those process
versus
and outcome.
Yep.
So what is the process? What are the things you are doing? What are the
behaviors, habits,
right?
Actions.
That's what we're looking at. What are the things I need to be doing consistently in order to move forward? Okay?
You can track these things before you even look at the outcomes of them.
And we would highly recommend, and this is the reason why we're talking about this first, is because the markers don't matter if the actions don't happen.
That's everything. Yep.
Okay, so if you're not being consistent doing the things you know you're supposed to be doing,
then looking for the outcomes, it's a moot point. Right? It's not even.
If you build a machine and you're building a machine that's going to make widgets, why are you expecting baubles? Right? You're out there looking for baubles, but you're making widgets. That doesn't work, right? You got to make sure that you're actually making the thing that you're expecting.
So the priority, the first thing to be tracking is your habits, your behaviors, your actions, right? So what's an example? What do we mean by this? Your nutrition,
sure.
Right? If you're committing to making a change in your nutrition, in the food choices, in your macros, in your, whatever it is that you're setting out to do, maybe you're going carnivore, whatever it might be, you can track that. So you can say, okay, I'm going to track, I might be using a nutrition tracker. There's a million different ways too that you can track these things.
That's the other thing too, is we're gonna be more high level in this conversation because there's a lot to talk about. Everything we're talking about is going to have multiple things within it that you could track, right? When like nutrition, you could track your macros, you could track the quantity, you could track your timing, you could track, there's so many aspects.
You could do a food journal.
There's so many different things.
You could just say, okay, in my carnivore journey, did I stay carnivore today? And that might be the only metric you're tracking. Did I only eat meat?
Right.
Whatever it might be. So you pick the thing that represents the behavior you're trying to change. It could be drilled down further from that. Maybe the behavior you're trying to change is eating breakfast every day. I'm going to commit to eating breakfast by a certain time instead of fasting. Yeah. Because that was a big theme this weekend.
Fasting was a big theme this weekend.
Let's stop doing these extended fasts.
It's a big thing we see everywhere right now.
Yep. So maybe you're just committing to eating 3 meals a day. Maybe whatever your nutrition goal or your diet goal or food goal, whatever that might be, it's a behavior-based goal with a behavior metric that you can track. Did I execute on the behavior today or this week or this month, whatever your time frame is. So that's one example. Other examples of behavior or process metrics versus outcome metrics.
Going to the gym every day. Or whatever schedule you set for yourself.
Did I do my workout? Did I execute the movement or the activity of the day that I set out to do? It's not how well did I do it or how long did I do it.
The easiest way to determine if something is a process metric, something you're measuring that's helping you stay on track, is did I do what I said I was going to do? That's it. That is how you know. Right? If I'm tracking it, okay, here's the part of it. You answer the question on a regular basis. Did I do it today? 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 And then you see where the days are where the answer is no versus yes. And then you start looking at why are those no's happening and you try to reduce them. Right, so and this is with all of the things we're talking about. Before you look
for any numerical outcome anywhere, or any outcome, numerical or qualitative or quantitative, the first thing you need to establish is, am I doing the things?
Right.
Because if not, it's fleeting. It doesn't make any sense to be looking for outcomes.
I know a lot of us, maybe more some than others, like reading science papers, research papers, studies, or at least looking at them to kind of say, hey, whatever. There's a reason the method of the study comes before the results of the study, right? What are we doing? How are we doing it? Did we do it the way we needed to in order to get the results we were looking for?
Because if not, the study doesn't
do the results and then say, here's what we found out. Don't worry about how we got it.
It's not a quality study. If you don't have parameters,
you
and
gotta
criteria.
have the function, the format, the framework of how everything is done. So that's what we're talking about. Consistency, doing the things. You can't trust the process if you're not doing
following
the process. Right? That's what it's all about.
Put that on a t-shirt.
That's what it's all about. So that's when we talk about process goals, process metrics, process measures. That's what we're talking about. So then when we talk about outcomes, that's where everything else happens. Right? Yep. So the process measures are, like you said, behaviors and habits and actions. Are you doing the things consistently? The outcome measures are, what is the result of me doing all of those things? And that's where we get into two different areas
of
right?
measuring the outcomes.
Right. And then we commonly refer to these, and you've heard the terms, biofeedback and biomarkers.
Or biometrics.
Right?
Same thing.
So biofeedback, we can say, is the qualitative aspect. It's the feeling, perception, perceived aspects of how you're doing.
Yep.
How do you feel about things in your life? How do you feel about your body? How do you feel about your hunger? How do you feel about your energy? Those types of things. And then your biometrics or your biomarkers are the quantitative aspect, which are the numbers. The numbers.
And that includes everything from body composition, scale weight, to blood work, right. Any of the number side of things. So the biggest thing we want you all to take away from this talk is that the numbers don't come first. Behaviors first, then the qualitative, then finally the quantitative.
Yes.
Because if the behaviors are happening and you're seeing benefits and results on the qualitative side, the numbers will follow.
Yes, absolutely.
But most of what we see and what we were talking about last week was not seeing the forest for the trees because you're so focused on one metric, and usually it's a number metric. It's your A1C, it's your fasting glucose, or it's your scale weight.
Right, here's a great example. And this is right now, probably the most common one. We talked about fasting.
Yeah.
The fascination, obsession, whatever it is that everybody has with fasting and how it's going to improve autophagy and apoptosis and improve ketones and mitochondrial health and mitochondrial biogenesis and all of these fancy words that everybody's focused on, when really 99% of the time, the only reason people are fasting is to try to lose weight faster. They're putting all these words out there, and this is all the things that all the influencers and doctors are talking about. All the benefits of fasting, blah, blah, blah. No, you're doing it because you want to lose fat faster. Be honest with yourself. That's why you're fasting.
Yep.
Okay? Because you're doing that, you're focused on a biometric. You're focused on a number. That means you are going around the things that will actually improve your quality of life. Fasting over exercise is doing it backwards. Fasting over eating enough food to provide metabolic function is doing it backwards. So this is a very good example, and it's something we see all the time where people are stuck in a loop of not getting where they want to go because they're focused on the metric. They're not focused on what they should be doing.
My
at a foundation level.
Scale chasing,
or whatever it may be. Yes,
or whatever
absolutely.
number chasing. Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about. The numbers don't mean squat. Guys, I didn't get fit. I didn't get in shape by looking at just my body composition. I got in shape by consistently going to the gym and busting my butt.
And improving in the gym.
And trying to improve in the gym. Then, oh, look, I lost body fat. Oh, I gained muscle mass. These things happen, right? I didn't do these things to get the numbers. I did the things, and then the numbers happen.
You know, the first 2 to 3, maybe 5 years of my journey, I called it happy accidents. The weight loss was a happy accident for me. It was not something I was focused on because I just wanted to feel better.
Right.
I had really poor digestive health. I started out with my food, changing my foods because I wanted to heal my gut. I didn't even know to call it healing my gut back then. All I know is that I just didn't want to feel like crap after I had a meal.
Yeah.
I wanted to have better energy. So let's talk about what some of the biofeedback,
the qualitative stuff. And I was just going to say, for me, very similarly, all of the things that I wanted to improve were all quality of life stuff. They were all qualitative. And then it wasn't until those were gone that I even bothered with looking at what are some of the quantitative numbers.
Yes.
Then it was,
yes.
okay, now I have goals that are weights in the gym and certain scores on exercises, and I really need to work on this blood marker or whatever. Like then, because that's the optimization, the tweaking. Where
and I started focusing on physique,
quality of life doesn't happen in a blood chart.
Body composition and all of that after I healed.
Right.
All the medical and chronic health issues that I had. So, and let's talk about the fact how many times you get discouraged by the numbers. If you're focusing on the biofeedback and the actions, and you're proud of your actions, you can take pride in that, what you're doing, how you're showing up for yourself, and then you go to the biofeedback and you're like, oh, my sleep has improved, my knees don't hurt when I get out of bed, and you start tracking all of that stuff,
the numbers
you're not going to be discouraged. Unless you're still focusing only on that, on that number, you're looking at the other stuff, but it barely registers in your mind because you're still so focused on the numbers.
Yep. The common thing that we see with that is a lot of times when people are focused on the numbers, it's because they know they're not focusing on what they should be doing.
Yep. So they're looking for an excuse.
They're working for, how do I stay in ketosis?
How can I game the system?
Right. It's like, well, how do I get back into ketosis? Well, how did you get out of it?
This relates to what you sent me this morning. Share what you sent me this morning.
So I was watching, I forget what I was watching. There's an account I follow on Instagram, and she was ranting on something, but something she said was like, ooh, that's really cool. What did she say? She said, the idea of a cheat meal implies that you're playing a game. Just eat like a human and stop playing yourself.
Ooh.
I was like, ooh, that's hard.
And that's exactly what you're talking about. I was one of those people once upon a time where, I'd check my ketones because I cheated the night before, and now I'm seeing if I could get away with it. So a lot of the time I see that when people are checking ketones and they're doing all that, it's because they're trying to get away with something.
Yep. Well, we talked about it yesterday in our talk, right? And this is something that I don't think I've ever really said before, but while we were prepping for the talk yesterday and then on the talk, the whole idea of if you're doing something, if there's an event, or if you have to get back on track, then the changes you've made aren't lifestyle changes.
They're not your lifestyle yet. Yep.
Right. So if you want to make this a lifestyle, then whatever you're doing will persist through
challenges,
events and challenges
obstacles.
In your life. Right.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what's going on in your life. You still get up and you go to work every day. Doesn't matter what's going on in your life. You still pay your bills every month. Doesn't matter what's going on in your life. You still have to go get gas in your car when it's low. Like, there are certain things you have to do consistently. And when the things you do for your health and quality of life get to that level, then you can say it's a lifestyle. If you have to struggle to make a decision to eat the right thing every day, it is not yet a lifestyle. You can't call it a way of eating because it's not.
Okay, I want to back up a little bit and go back to the gaming the system thing, right? And I have to bring up something else that came up yesterday. The question about, for instance, what spikes your blood sugar? What spikes your insulin? Does allulose spike your insulin? That was a hot topic. It was like, Dr. Nelly said allulose and all these other things are going to spike your insulin.
And then,
is that true? Because these studies say that it doesn't, right? What I notice in the space is that a lot of people are hanging on these studies that Diet Coke doesn't do XYZ, or, this sweetener doesn't raise your blood sugar, doesn't raise your insulin, blah, blah, blah. my question to you is, what are you consuming that have these sweeteners in them that you're trying to excuse? You want to keep it in your life. So
let's
at the end of the day, does it matter what the studies say about whether or not something impacts people in a lab setting in a certain way? Why are you asking that question? What are you trying to justify? And is that helping you get where you need to go, where you're trying to go?
Using biometrics, science, data, proof as a reason to keep doing what you're doing is keeping you where you are. It's
keeping you stuck.
And this is a great example of the biometrics versus biofeedback versus biometrics. Dr. Nally is speaking from clinical experience. Who cares what a study says about what allulose is going to do if he has a patient who stops eating allulose and loses 20 pounds?
Or
it doesn't matter.
Their A1C, their goes insulin down. Comes down. Because what he was speaking from was the breadth of his patients.
Right.
And what he has seen clinically from a large number of patients. And so he looks for correlations across his patients.
He said he bases his methods and what he does with his patients off the patterns that he sees over
patterns,
time.
That's what I was looking for. Yep. Yeah. So if he's seeing this pattern that all these patients that are consuming allulose, their insulin numbers are staying high. But you're like, wait, no, there's a study because I really like this drink that has allulose in it. Because I really want to keep eating my keto sweets.
And that study may be perfectly valid in that scenario that study was done. And that doesn't mean either are wrong. But again, we're talking about how you apply the results.
And are you willing to hear what's happening here is resistance? Oh, I don't want to hear that. Don't take away my Diet Coke or whatever it might be, right? There's that resistance there. So now you're going to look for a study to prove that it's okay for you to consume this thing. Right. He talked about a client who was drinking black tea every day, a Brit, and he told him, take out the black. Somehow he came across information that black tea could be causing
insulin.
So he said, take out the black tea, and he got pushed back. I'm British. What do you mean, take out my tea?
I can't not eat tea.
That's like telling us not to drink coffee anymore, right? But then he did it. He came back and he said, I lost 40 pounds in what, 2 months?
Mm-hmm. Just by stopping the tea.
Just huge impact. So it's like, all right, what are you fighting? Are you fighting for your limitations? You know my favorite saying, if you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them.
Woo, boy. Woo, boy.
Do you want results? Or do you want to keep a certain habit, a certain thing in your life that may not be serving you?
Right.
So let's talk about biofeedback.
So biofeedback are the things that you feel, perceive, or see happening in your life that aren't numbers.
And usually you hear this as a non-scale victory.
It can also be things that other people see.
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, you've been in a much better mood lately. You're not as angry. You're not as tired. You have a lot more energy. Whatever, right?
Yes.
It's the what's the word? It's the environmental outside aspects.
Yes,
right?
External. The things that your friends and family may notice, especially people who don't see you every day, that your clothes are fitting better, that you look like you lost some weight.
Or worse.
Right? And you're like, wait, but I haven't lost weight on the scale, but if they're noticing, then something's changing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
One or the other.
You might get it when people say, "Hey, are you okay? You look sick."
Or you look tired.
You look tired. Well, that's because I've lost all my face fat. Right? And I can say that because I used to have a fat face.
Yeah, well, and negative biofeedback. So are you snapping at your partner, at your kids? Do you have a shorter fuse? Or is it the opposite? Do you have more clarity? Or are you functioning better cognitively so you can get better work done? You can focus more. If you lean into these things and start connecting the dots, it will be the best thing you've ever done for your life. To understand yourself, your body, how you're responding to things, your digestion. That's another, all of these things are biofeedback that I ask clients to track regularly. Sleep, mood, energy.
Are you awake? Are you going to bed and falling asleep? Are you staying asleep all night? When you wake up, are you exhausted still? Or are you awake?
Are you looking for your Oura ring to tell you how well you slept? Or are you checking your own biofeedback first?
I feel great after that night's sleep. Your Oura ring says you got a 2% efficiency.
Right. Learn to trust yourself. This is another thing we hear a lot is I can't trust myself. Right? Probably because you don't know yourself very well.
Ooh, yes.
Get to know yourself. Teach yourself that you can trust yourself. He's got something, fam. What you got?
Focusing on the numbers is like emotional eating because it keeps you from getting to know yourself.
Ah, yes.
Just like we eat to avoid the emotion, a lot of times we're focusing on the numbers because we don't know how to
properly assess.
Or there's something about taking the time to understand how your body works that scares you.
I've had women in my academy for a while never do their biofeedback ratings because I don't know how to do it.
Yep.
Or they're asking me to give them more specifics about exactly how to rate each thing.
How did you sleep? 1 through 5. How do I rate that?
Right. No concept of, because they probably have a lot of resistance to
just listening to themselves.
Paying attention and trying. Okay, if I don't know was not an option. This is a Tony Robbins technique that I love. When he asks people questions and they say, I don't know, he's like, what if you did know? If you did know, what would you say? Like, do not let I don't know be an option. Make yourself answer the question. You know, I think people are so afraid of being wrong.
Yeah.
They're so afraid of not doing things perfectly. How does coach want me to assess? It's not about what I want. I'm not even really looking at those numbers. I want you to understand your body. That's the whole reason why I'm asking you.
That's a really, I don't know if people realize that. A lot of the times the questions that we ask aren't for us. They're because we know you need to start asking them for yourself.
Yes.
We're providing the motivation or the impetus to get you to start asking these yourself because we've said it 100 times or we're going to say it 100 times more. The goal is not for you to use us for the rest of your life. You have to be able to do these things on your own.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's okay. On my check-in forms, I have a question about insights for the week. What have you observed based on your biofeedback? So based on rating your biofeedback this week, what observations have you made? Any aha moments? Anything you've noticed? A lot of the time I get an answer, no aha moments. Or it's just blank. They leave it blank. And they're with me for months. And they're still leaving it blank.
And that tells you that they're not
doing the work.
Evaluate. They're not looking at what's going on and trying to understand it.
Yes.
I
can't give you the answers here.
We haven't talked about curiosity in a while.
No.
But if you're not curious about what's going on, then you're not really interested in changing your life.
I think that's it. Ultimately, I think it all stems from this resistance. Just tell me what to eat. Just give me the answers and I'll do it. And the truth is, no, you won't.
Because you would have done it already. Because you already know what to do.
That's why we start with the behaviors before we even go to the biofeedback.
Yeah.
Then we go to the biofeedback. Then finally the metrics. Because the metrics, like I said, they will fall in the right place if you put things in the right order.
Yep. So we went on a little bit of a rant there. But that's biofeedback. Okay. How are you sleeping? How do you feel in the gym? Do you have energy? Do you feel like you need a pre-workout before you work out? Do you feel like you have to get your coffee in the morning in order to function? All things like that, right?
Rating your training sessions.
Yeah.
Giving it like at the end of a workout in my app, it says, how did that feel?
Right.
And it's like moderate, challenging, difficult, right? So then you can assess like, well, how did I feel during my workout today? Did it feel extra difficult? Did it feel easy today, you know, did I crush it? All of those things. Here's a big one. Libido.
If you're not getting horny, something's wrong. I'm just saying.
And it's not about, did we have sex this week?
No.
It's about, was I interested in sex this week? Was I interested in intimacy? It's the desire, rating the level of desire you have for intimacy. It has nothing to do with whether or not you have a partner, whether or not your partner's home. Tuning into your own level of libido levels.
Yes.
That's another form of
sexual desire.
Yes, yes. He has no problem with libido, ladies. 0.
Would you?
52 years old?
Would you?
Anywho.
Hi, Mom.
Mood. We talked about mood and cognition. Oh my gosh. All of you out there with mental health struggles, you can track your biofeedback as it relates to your mental health. What are the symptoms that you notice,
and
especially if you're on meds?
What's going on with it?
If you're at the point of being on medication for depression, anxiety, you can rate those symptoms, your depressive symptoms, your level of anxiety as a biofeedback marker. And anything else, brain fog. If you have a slump at 3 p.m., you know, start tracking that, logging the severity of it, and noticing that the connections that can be made by, oh, I notice when I don't eat this food, I can think clearer. Right? Connecting things, connecting the dots. It happens through biofeedback.
For some reason, every day around 7 o'clock, I start feeling really lonely and depressed. Oh, you know, I eat a blank every time I get home from work. And then 2 hours later, if you don't start asking those questions and writing that stuff down,
you will not make the connections.
Okay, so then we get into the numbers. And that's where the numbers can work with the feelings, right? The quantitative helps with the qualitative, because if you're tracking both, then you can start connecting those things. Understanding that every day at 7 o'clock I'm feeling lonely and depressed is great, but if you don't have the numbers to show what you're eating and when and how much of whatever it may be, if you're not tracking your food, if you're not whatever that may be, then you don't have anything to connect the dots to.
Well, and here's a really cool one, since I just did a CGM experiment. You might notice, oh, when I'm feeling that slump at 3 p.m., it's when my blood sugar, I have reactive hypoglycemia because I ate something sugary, my blood sugar went through the roof and then it bottomed out. Well, no wonder I'm feeling exhausted and I'm looking for more sugar at 3 p.m. Oh, now it validates what I already identified through my biofeedback. If you didn't do that with the biofeedback first and you're just looking for the numbers,
then you're chasing your tail. Right? Because you're like, oh my God, my numbers, what do I do? Ah!
Yeah, and you can establish whether or not it's even an issue, right? If you're freaking out because your blood sugar went up, and here's a great example, I'm a good example of this. If I freaked out because my regular blood sugar throughout the day is in the 90s, and then I ate a meal and it went up to 120 something, and then it slowly comes back down over 2 hours, and I'm freaking out about that because somehow I have in my head that it should just be in the 90s all day because I'm keto, then I'm looking for the answers in the numbers without even understanding the numbers really. If I look at my biofeedback and I say, well, I feel fine, I didn't have any symptoms.
And I didn't do anything off plan. So I'm looking at the process, I'm looking at the actions, I did everything I'm supposed to do. I'm not having any issues on the biofeedback, and this is what's...
And the numbers are freaking me out. Then I can search, I can research, oh, you know, what should my blood sugar be after a meal if I'm not diabetic? And then I get that information and it says, you know, oh, it should rise and then it should slowly, easily come back down without staying up all day. And then you know you don't have a problem. And now it's like, oh, that wasn't a problem at all. I was making it out to be something that it's not.
Right. But when you just when you look at the tail, you don't get to pet the dog.
Or if I was a person, like you said, trying to justify things, you know, I eat something sugary, it goes through the roof and it stays there. So now I go run because I'm trying to get it back down again. And then I'm like, oh, now I'm going to fast because I have to get that blood sugar back down. Well, you wouldn't have to get it back down if you hadn't eaten that thing.
Take care of the front end.
So maybe I don't try to do that again tomorrow.
Yeah. There is one word that we need to include this somehow in our talk when we do the cruise. The more time you spend correcting, the less time you spend progressing.
Making progress. Oh my God. Write that down. Somebody write that down and remind us.
Because that's right.
Say that again. Say that again. The more
time you spend correcting, the less time you spend progressing. And that's what,
that should be like the exclamation.
We're done. Okay, thanks guys. Have fun.
Today. Seriously though, this whole chasing your tail because you went off on the weekend and now you spend the whole week trying to get back into ketosis or get the scale to come down again. And you're doing this week after week, 52 weeks out of the year.
Yeah.
You're never going to be able to progress because you're always having to take those steps. You take those steps back and then you're just trying to get back to where you were before. And now you're back to your starting position and then you do it again. Mm-hmm. That's freaking exhausting, y'all.
It is. It seriously is. And it's not keto's fault.
No.
I tried keto and it didn't work for me.
Because I couldn't.
Did you really?
Because I couldn't stick to it.
Did you really?
Keto's not sustainable.
Oh, gosh. Wow. So 3 things to look at. They all go together. You've got to make sure that you're doing the things you need to do, you're paying attention to your body, and then looking at the actual numbers of the real things that are happening in the results. So none of them work by themselves. However, I will say, if you're following the concepts of what good nutrition is and good fitness is, you can get a very, very long way just doing the things and not even worrying about the rest.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah,
you can get a very, very long way just saying, hey, I'm going to stop eating crap, eat more meat, and exercise regularly. Just doing that and not even worry about your blood work.
Yeah.
Not even worry about tracking anything other than do it consistently.
Oh.
It will drastically change your life.
You just made me think of something on the numbers side I want to make sure I say. If you have to be looking at things in context. So when you see your numbers 6 months later when you do your blood work again or a year later, if you're freaking out about a 5.8 A1C, but your last A1C was 12, that's a massive improvement. Don't ever look at any one number in isolation.
Chill out.
It's about, well, did it improve from where it was before?
And she's using this example because we get questions about this
all the time.
All the time.
Oh my God, I'm carnivore and it's 5.9.
Right.
Well, what was it before? 9 times out of 10, it's improved.
Yes.
And somehow somebody's freaking out about that. So
because some arbitrary, it's got to be under 5.7. Guys, I've been under 5.7 once in the last 8 years.
Wow, really?
I've been at 5.7 or 5.8 consistently.
Huh. Okay.
Since 2018.
I've been
but you know what?
I think I've been under 5 forever.
Every other marker that I have is fine.
And that's the next thing I wanted to say.
And technically, 5.7 isn't bad either.
No.
Right? No. But because there's just some arbitrary, if it's this, you're pre-diabetic.
Was it Lenskis?
You're not pre-diabetic if you've got no other symptoms.
Yes. I think it was Nally that was talking about that. These ranges are like, it's not that cut and dry. No. It's not like, if you're 1 point off of that, now you're not in the range, and now that means, it's not that simple.
Yeah, it's not that simple.
But that was the other piece I wanted to bring up about all of these metrics need to be taken together, right? So if you're looking at blood work, for example, don't just look at your TSH. Look at a full thyroid panel.
Yep.
Don't just look at your A1C. Look at your fasting insulin. Look at your fasting glucose. Don't just look at your total cholesterol.
Right.
Look at your triglycerides. Look at your HDL.
Look at the ratio. What's your HOMA-IR?
All of these things are meant to be taken together, not one data point. How about scale weight without looking at body composition?
Same thing.
Body fat, muscle mass, any numbers you can get from any scale, y'all, by the way, does not matter which one you use. Oh, I don't know how accurate my home scale is. It'll give me a body fat percentage, but I don't know how accurate that is. You're never going to find a perfectly accurate reading.
There is no scale that's going to be
perfect accuracy.
Exactly accurate.
Look at trends over time.
Use the same thing consistently, and then you see the differences. That's where the power is.
And don't freak out each day when it says you lost 2 pounds of muscle overnight. That didn't happen.
Right.
The day-to-day fluctuations in body composition with a bioelectrical impedance scale, which is any digital scale you'd get at home, is bioelectrical impedance.
But InBody is the best.
It is based on fluid balance. It is giving you a guess, an estimate of your skeletal muscle, your lean mass, your body fat. It is not giving you actual tissue measurements. So day to day is not going to tell you exactly how much muscle mass you have today versus yesterday.
Right.
You never lose muscle mass or body fat or gain muscle mass or body fat
in large quantities overnight.
24 hours.
Yeah.
So we want to look at averages over time and then track the trends. Just like with your blood work, you want to look at where were you before? Let's compare that to now, and let's look at it in the context of the full panel, the full understanding of your blood work. Same thing with your body composition.
I totally thought you were going to say butt work. You're like, just like your blood work.
Speaking of, this Airbnb has a bidet, y'all.
So, I haven't tried it. Did you try it?
No, I didn't.
I haven't tried it either. I'm scared.
I didn't want my first ever bidet experience to be in an Airbnb.
An add-on attachment to a toilet.
It was called Better Butts.
Betterbutts.com.
He's like, is this a bidet? In the U.S. in a random Arizona Airbnb?
Yes, it is.
Shout out to any European followers who probably are used to that everywhere you go.
So I was like, I don't know if I want to try that.
I'm not trying that here.
Not there. So, okay. Anything you want to say before we drop off?
Let's just reiterate.
Process, measurements, track what's going on as far as what are you doing, behaviors and habits, are you being consistent? Then look at how do you feel? Is it making a difference in your life? Do you see improvements? Or you don't see improvements that you wanted to do, and then go back and say, well, why am I not getting those? Am I doing what I need to do?
Headaches, right? Anything, yep.
Am I eating something that could be whatever, right? So just that, guys, is so powerful before you even get into the numbers.
Yes.
Right? And then we look at numbers to try to build some context and make connections with things that maybe the other stuff isn't. You've made progress, but you want to get to that next level. Start looking at the numbers. I will caveat that with, if you have some numbers that are really bad starting out, obviously from health and a medical, we're not saying the numbers don't matter at all. There are things that need to be done based on your current situation. If you have an A1C that's 16, that needs to be addressed, right? Yeah. So we're not saying there are health things and there's certain medical stuff that has to be addressed.
Guess what's going to change the A1C?
Being consistent.
Changing your habits.
Right. So.
And if you get a good doctor like Dr. Nally or Dr. Lenskis, that's what they're going to tell you to do before they give you meds.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem overall in healthcare today, is that when you're just focused on the numbers, what are you going to do? Take a medication to lower the numbers.
Yep.
But that medication is what's the word I'm looking for? It's artificially lowering the numbers without actually changing your health.
Anything, yeah. Your medication doesn't make you healthy. I hope people understand that. You're not well if you're on medication. I know a lot of people that are like, I feel great, I'm doing great, but they got 6 medications that they're taking, you're not doing great if you're on meds, guys.
If you can,
your body cannot.
And metformin will change your numbers, but you could have done it with lifestyle changes without ever needing to go that route.
Medication is literally, your body cannot take care of itself with whatever it is you're doing right now. You need that in order to live. So anybody that's thinking they're fine, because we see this mostly in the older population, people that have been on medication for a while and they think, well, I'm just fine. I do whatever I do and I'm on meds. I don't need to change anything. And this is our struggle as coaches. Sometimes we see people, or in our lives, we have people that are like this, and it's just like, there's nothing you can do to help, because as far as they're concerned, they're in a state of contentment with the lifestyle that they're living.
Well, and how many people, older people, maybe even in our own families, refuse to take the statins, refuse to take the meds, but they're not making the changes in their lifestyle that support not taking the meds. That bothers me.
Right.
If you're going to refuse to take meds to fix the numbers, but you don't make the lifestyle changes that will actually change the health of your body and fix the numbers in that direction, you're actually now doing yourself a bigger disservice, because you're continuing to perpetuate the things that are making the numbers as bad as they are.
Just being stubborn.
And just being stubborn, exactly.
It's frustrating to us.
Oh, yes. It brought Michelle to tears the other day.
Yes, because we see it. I think all of us, all of us who are on this journey to try to improve our health and quality of life, have people in our lives that aren't doing it.
And it hurts to watch them deteriorate and in their own stubbornness just not make the changes.
This comment, we
got a comment?
We need to address. We got a couple, but we need to address this one. Why can't I get to it? Okay, I don't know why I can't get to this comment now, but somebody just commented on my YouTube, and I saw the phrase, I'm skinny fat. I need to lose about 40 pounds, ... Are
you ready for
I hope you guys
food?
didn't hear that. My stomach was just like growling, like, what the heck? Okay, if you're skinny fat, losing fat is the last thing you need to be worried about. Okay, losing weight is the last thing you need to be worried about. Build muscle. Do whatever you're doing. Go eat protein, go lift the weights, go get good sleep.
Yes.
Evelyn said we heard that.
Now, the rest of that statement, I just saw it. Okay. I need to lose 40 pounds while building muscle.
Yeah. Don't even worry about the weight. Go build some muscle. Yeah. I guarantee you, if you start building muscle, it's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. So don't get frustrated if 3 months from now you haven't gained 40 pounds.
Because don't focus on the numbers, like we said, the numbers, right? The 40 pounds.
Just go start lifting, go start working out. You're going to build the muscle. It's going to replace the fat. You're going to start having some shape to your body. You're going to start getting curves. The fat loss will be effortless
when you focus on building muscle. The fat loss will
start happening.
Yep.
Yeah. The idea of being skinny fat isn't that you're over fat.
It's that you're under muscle.
Literally, skinny fat by definition means you don't have enough muscle. If you add the muscle, in many cases, if the fat mass doesn't change at all, you're going to feel and look so much better.
You will look fit, lean, tight.
Now,
all those things that
the process of building the muscle and getting more muscle will help you burn more of that fat, but it's going to be so much better for you to just forget about fat loss.
Yes.
Forget about it.
Well, and especially the weight, because what will happen, especially for a lot of our skinny fat folks, if you focus on building the muscle, you're going to get recomp, which means you're going to build muscle, which you're going to put on muscle weight. You're going to lose body fat, which means you're going to lose fat weight. And guess what's going to happen on the scale? Your weight is going to stay the same. So if you're looking for the 40 pounds of loss, it's probably over a longer period of time. Maybe it'll be 10 or 20 pounds of loss, or even up to 30, but it's probably not going to be 40 pounds before you see a completely different body standing in front of it.
And she mentioned something about she used to do slow burn.
That's the HIT?
Yeah, we won't talk about that. But what I'll recommend is, if slow burn wasn't working for you, which doesn't surprise me, join Keto Bikini Academy. Get with Nat, get in her community, get in with her training programs, and start working with her on the different things. And I think you will be very happy with the progress.
Ladies, if body shape change is what you're looking for, you need bodybuilding style training. That's what we do inside the academy. You can do all kinds of other kind of training for performance goals.
Doesn't mean you need to get on the stage. It's not what we're talking about. We're talking about how, if you want to shape your body, you change your composition, recomp, all that kind of stuff.
There's a way to train
get with her.
that specifically does that, and that is a bodybuilding style of training, method of training, and that's what we do. So come see us.
Where is it?
NatalieJGrasso.com/Keto Bikini Academy, or you can go to my Instagram or my YouTube at Keto Bikini Secrets, Instagram at the Keto Bikini Pro. Come join our free Facebook group, Keto Bikini Secrets on Facebook, and we have all the links on all of those places.
You know what I just realized?
What?
I don't think any of our videos have our links in them.
We need to put that in the description. Wow, what an oversight.
55 episodes.
Look at us not marketing ourselves.
And I don't think any of our descriptions have links.
Got to go back and put in all the current links.
Yes, all the current links. Oh, boy.
And all of our product discounts. Like, there's so many.
And mine are in there.
Well, it's your YouTube.
Yeah,
I can't do that on
But I can put your
Instagram.
links. I don't think your links are on there. Like your website and stuff. We need to put.
Yeah. We need to put that in there.
Okay. See you guys. We're going to get ready to go to the airport and sit at the airport for 8 hours.
And eat breakfast and do some work.
Yep.
And he'll probably play some games.
Play some bang bang.
Shoot him up.
Shoot 'em up.
Not the other bang
If
bang.
anybody out there plays Division 2, let me know, because I would love to have more of a group of people. Division 2, Ubisoft, let me know, and we can link up.
What? All I know is pew, pew, pew. He doesn't like
Whenever I go play, I'm like, I'm going to go shoot people in the face now.
And I go, pew, pew, pew. And he's like, that's not what it sounds like.
See you guys.
Bye.